Thinking about a trip to Kauai, or do you have your trip already planned? On our recent adventure to Hawaii's Garden Isle, we learned what to do, what not to do, and the little tips that made a huge difference. In this video, I'll share everything we wish we knew before visiting Kauai so you can save time, money, and stress on your own trip. We will help you answer questions like, where should I stay? Should I rent a car? How to stay safe? By the end of this video, you will have all the knowledge to help you experience this island like a pro. Starting with where to stay. First of all, there's no wrong place to stay on the island, really. The island only takes about an hour and 20 to an hour and 30 minutes to drive from top to bottom. So you can get anywhere on the island pretty easily. What's nice about that is it takes a lot of the pressure out of finding the perfect place to stay. But here are some things you're going to want to think about when deciding where you want to stay on the island. The north side, probably the most famous side on the island due to the Nepali coast. But the north side has much more than just the Nepali coast, and here's why it might be a great place for you to stay. Starting with the nature. Anyone that loves nature, you got to spend a few days in the north. There's great hikes, waterfalls, beautiful scenery. Generally, the north is going to be a little bit more quiet. The beaches are a bit more quiet. There's just a little less traffic. So if you're somebody that wants a little bit quieter experience, the north is going to be great for you. There's also a lot of really nice resorts. So if you're a couple on a honeymoon or something like that and you want a really nice place to stay, the north has some great options. Surfing is great in the north, especially in the winter if you're more advanced, and in the summer if you're more of a beginner surfer. I will also say the snorkeling on the north side is amazing. Tunnels Beach is some of the best snorkeling I have ever done. Now for the south. This is personally where we stayed on our trip, so we have a pretty good feel of this area. The south is great for kids. Mostly because the beaches, the waves are a little bit calmer, so they're very swimmable, especially in the summer. We saw tons of kids in the south. If you're somebody that likes golf, the south has tons of options. So if golf is on your itinerary, the south might be a good spot. If you have any tours planned on your trip, you should make note of where they meet. In our experience, a lot of the excursions and tours that we did met in the south part of the island, so that made for a really efficient place to stay, being that we didn't have to get up super early to drive anywhere, being that most of the tours met in the south. The weather is a lot more consistent in the south as well. You're going to get a little less rain or a lot less rain compared to the north. So if you're worried about getting rained out on activities and things like that, the south is great shopping. There's lots of great local shops. So if you're somebody that likes souvenirs, great spot for you. We also found there's a little bit more access to restaurants in the south part of the island, as well as more places to stay if you have a bigger group. That might not be necessarily true, but in our experience, we found a lot of families in bigger groups hanging out in the south part of the island. Now for the east side of the island, this is just a good middle ground. There's some great restaurants on the east side, but it's going to put you in the middle of the north and the south, so it's just a good middle ground if you can't really decide. The west, nobody really stays on the west because you got Waimea Canyon, you got the Nepali coast, so there's really no place to stay on the west, but I would recommend if you have the ability to do a little bit in the north and a little bit in the south, being that they're both amazing. And remember, you can't really go wrong with where to stay on this island, being that you can drive anywhere pretty easily depending on the traffic. Number 2, things close early and open late. Most places don't open until around 7 or 8 a.m., and that includes coffee shops. And most places will close, we found, right around 7 p.m. Even restaurants are not open super late, so I would recommend either making a reservation or just make sure you double check their hours, because it can be a little disappointing if you plan to go to a restaurant and they closed at 7 p.m. and you didn't realize it. For us, this was a little bit of an adjustment, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. So just make sure you double check their hours, because a lot of times there were some places that were only open for a few hours a day. It might seem initially like a bit of an inconvenience, but once you get used to it, it wasn't too bad. And I actually think it kind of adds to the quiet slow-paced island vibe that Kauai has. Number 3, let's talk about car rentals. You might be wondering, what's the best way to get around the island? Is it renting a car? Is it public transport? Is it Uber? And after our experience on the island, we really couldn't imagine not renting a car. It's pretty much a must. You could do Uber. They do have Uber, but it's going to be really expensive and it's going to cost you a lot of time. So renting a car is going to be your best option. And they have all the normal companies like Hertz, Enterprise, Budget, and those can be great options. I would also consider looking into a local option. And that's actually what we did. We booked with a company called Rainbow Sky Ride, and we had a great experience. Another company we also stumbled upon in our research was called Pineapple Express. There might even be a few more, but booking with a local company is not something that a lot of people think about, and it can be a great option. What we really liked with the local company is we didn't have to shuttle all over the place to find a rental car. They picked us right up at baggage claim, which was amazing. Also, it came with beach things like chairs, umbrella, boogie boards, and we ended up using that stuff a lot. But really the big reason we really liked them was the flexibility. We could drop off the car whenever we wanted. They would even come pick it up. Also, they didn't even charge us for the last day of having the car, even though we basically had it for the full day. So if you're not having any luck booking with the normal big companies, try one of the local companies if you plan to rent a car, which I would highly recommend. Number 4, parking. Since you're going to be renting a car, you're going to have to park it. So here are some things you should know about parking. For the most part, parking is really great, especially in the southern part of the island, as they have nice big surface parking lots. And for the most part, which was surprising, is they were free. So it really wasn't too hard in the south part of the island finding parking, especially at beaches and shopping areas. Now, the north side of the island is a little different. You might run into some more trouble on the north side of the island when parking, especially on specific hikes and beaches. There's some really popular hikes and beaches that quite literally only have 5, 10, 15 parking spots. So you're going to want to get there early if you plan to go to those specific beaches. But one thing I should mention about the north is they have a great park and ride shuttle service, especially if you're somebody going to Haena State Park or Tunnels Beach or anything further towards the Nepali coast on the north side. The shuttle is great. It makes stops at a bunch of different places like every 20 minutes. It's super easy to book. It's super easy to use. And that can be a great way to avoid some of the parking stress on the north side. Number 5, Meg and I love to walk when we travel. It's a great way to get around. You move your body. It's also a great way to see things that you maybe wouldn't see when you're traveling super fast in a car. And walking is great on the island of Kauai, but you do need to be careful. Meg and I were really surprised with how few sidewalks they had, as well as how dark it got at night. I mean, very, very dark. It's great for seeing the stars, but not great for walking. There's very few streetlights on the island, so you need to be very careful, especially if you're walking at night. It's very often that you'll find yourself walking just on the side of the road, on the shoulder of the road. So if you have kids, it's something that you need to be very careful of, as well as you need to be careful that you don't find yourself out super late at night walking, as it can be really hard for drivers to see you on the side of the road. There are some areas of the island that have great sidewalks, particularly in resort areas, but again, we were really surprised with how often we found ourselves just walking on the side of the road. So maybe plan to not walk at night, or if you do, be very, very careful. Number 6, groceries and food. If you plan to buy larger quantities of food, your cheapest place is going to be Costco. That's what we did. There were 6 of us. It was a family trip. So we went to Costco. We bought some items in bulk so we could cook them at our condo or Airbnb. That is a great option, especially if you're traveling in a big group. And that's going to be the way you're going to spend the least amount of money. But if you're not buying in bulk, I would not recommend shopping at other grocery stores like Safeway. They're very, very expensive, and it's going to be best to just eat the local food. Go to coffee shops, stop at food trucks, go to farmers markets. The food is amazing on the island, And if you're not buying in bulk, I would recommend just going out to eat, because honestly, the prices are going to be very similar if you go out to eat or if you just buy groceries for yourself at a grocery store. So I would recommend, if you're buying in bulk, hit up Costco. If not, just try all the local foods you can. Number 7, price or budget. This might not be a surprise to you, but Kauai or Hawaii in general is not a budget destination. Though it can be done cheaper, you're gonna go there and you're gonna spend money. And to be honest with you, that's kind of how you want it to be, because that's really how you get to experience the island the way it should be. It's unfortunate that it's so expensive, but my recommendation to keep things a little bit cheaper is, if you have a big group, like I just said, buy in bulk your food. Otherwise, I would go to farmers markets, I would go to food trucks. Those can be great, cheaper options. I would also recommend that you do splurge a little bit. So whether that's a helicopter ride or a boat tour, you don't need to do it all, but doing 1 or 2 of those activities is going to help you get the most out of your trip to Kauai. Again, I hate to break it to you, but this is not a cheap trip. So if you plan your trip to Hawaii or Kauai specifically, expect that you might need to save a little bit leading into this trip to make sure you can experience the island the way you want to. Number 8, swimming. I'm mentioning this because most likely on your trip to Kauai, you're going to be swimming in the ocean at some point, whether that's snorkeling, just playing in the waves, scuba diving, whatever. You're probably going to be hitting the ocean at some point, and you need to be very careful on this island. There's lots of rip currents. The waves can get very big in the winter. So pay close attention to the lifeguards as well as any signage that is posted. It is not something you want to mess around with. And I'm, again, only mentioning this because we heard this a lot on our trip to Kauai from the locals. Make sure you're staying safe. Unfortunately, a lot of people drowned on this island every single year, and you don't want to be the tourist that's not paying attention and not following the rules, and you end up in the news. It's unfortunate, but it happens every single year. If you have any questions about Kauai, feel free to put them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Also, if you're somebody that has been to Kauai, or maybe even you're a local, and you have any tips or tricks or safety things that I didn't mention, feel free to put those down in the comments as well so we can all learn and have an amazing trip to this island. I hope these 8 things help you plan and have the trip of your dreams to this amazing island of Kauai. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel for more content like this. We will see you in the next video.